Welcome to the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast, a podcast where we teach speakers how to land paid speaking engagements and corporate contracts. Each week, we deliver high-quality content that teaches you how to level up your speaking business. Be sure to join the Speak Your Way to Cash Facebook group after having your mind blown by this information-filled episode. Now, here's your host, Ashley Kirkwood, lawyer and professional speaker. This is the Speak Your Way to Cash podcast.
Hello. It's Ashley Kirkwood, the founder of Mobile General Counsel, back again with another episode of the Ashley Nicole Show and Speak Your Way to Cash, right? I have two podcasts that I do right now, and I'm going to be talking to you all a bit today about intimidation. And the reason why I'm having this discussion is a couple of reasons. I was watching a show last night. Well, let me start over. Let me introduce myself. So for those of you who don't know, if it's your first time joining me, just drop a first time in the comments if you're watching live, or write me a review on Apple Podcasts and say that it was your first time listening, but you got some value out of this conversation. My name is Ashley Nicole Kirkwood. I'm the founder of Mobile General Counsel, which is a law firm for entrepreneurs. We help businesses that are building billion-dollar brands to protect their assets with legal protection and ensure that their business and their contracts and the way that it's set up is scalable, right? So that's what we do at Mobile General Counsel. It's a law firm, and then also the owner of a business called Speak Your Way to Cash. So that is what I do in those two companies. And Speak Your Way to Cash, it's actually a speaking coaching company. So it's a company that helps you to land paid speaking engagements and also corporate contracts. And then we're going to jump right in because the topic today is about intimidation. And I want to talk to you about intimidation because I was watching a show, and here is what happened. So I'm watching this show about chess. And chess is not a sport that you would think would have an entire TV series about, that it would be so amazing, so interactive, so engaging. But the storytelling in this particular show was masterful, right? So the first lesson is that it does not matter what your story is, what your topic is, what your background is. If you are able to tell your story in a way that draws people in, you're golden. So in this particular show, there's a woman who plays chess, and she's one of the only women who competes on the level at which she competes in chess tournaments. And she started playing at a very young age. And even though she started playing at a very young age, she was able to dominate the market in chess. She was a competitor. She started off in an orphanage. One of the janitors taught her how to play, and she became a really, really, really fierce competitor. There was a part, as the story goes on, there's a part in the series where this woman is playing a grandmaster at chess. Now, in the chess world, this guy is the best in the world, not the country, but the world. And everyone was watching her. Literally, the world was watching her. The New York Times was doing episodes about it. There were people standing outside of her games. Chess, right? There are people standing outside of where she's playing chess, anticipating and waiting to see what she does, whether or not she can beat this guy. Now, her entire career has almost been shaped by beating this one particular person who happened to be the grandmaster of chess, best in the world player. Now, there comes a point where they're playing each other in the match. I'm just telling you all this so you all can follow where I'm going today. There's a point where they're playing each other in the match, right? He's probably, I would say, 2 to 3 decades her senior, if not more. He's looking her in the eye. They're both playing a great game, right? And there's a point in the game where he looks at her and he says, draw. Now, what that means is that he was giving her the opportunity to bow out gracefully, and they become co-world champions. He offers her the draw. And she thinks about it for a moment. There's a pause that she has to see, am I going to take this draw, which the world would have considered a win, right? And I loved this moment in the series. It got me so excited because I was like, oh, I can't wait to talk about this. Because sometimes you can do things in your life that are good. You can do things in your life that everyone else will see as successful. You can do things in your life that would, by all intents and purposes, be considered a win, but it's not the ultimate goal. And when you are an entrepreneur, and when you are someone with big dreams, and when you are someone who has a lot going on in your life, you have a lot of things that you want to do, there will come these points in your journey where people will say, well, you could get off the road here and it's still a win, even though it's not your ultimate goal. Now, this woman's ultimate goal was to become world champion, not to become co world champion. And so for a lot of people that come into my firm, they want a particular contract negotiated. They want to get the big prize. They want to have multi-six-figure contracts. They want to go above and beyond. They want to have their brand protected. They want to license it. They want to have billion-dollar clients. They want to make sure that they're set up for great success. But somewhere along their journey, they settled for a title that wasn't exactly what they wanted. And some of you may relate to this. Some of you may have wanted to be president of your company, but you have decided not to go for that role because where you're at now is good. Some of you have goals and aspirations and you've determined like you would love to get a particular degree, but you got your bachelor's and that's good enough. And you don't really want to go back through all of the changes for that. The lesson that I took from that story is that there's so many lessons, but one of the lessons, yes, so many life lessons in that series. But one of the things that I took from that is just that, we have to ensure that we aren't allowing our goals to intimidate us such that we take consolation prizes when we don't have to. Okay. Such that we take consolation prizes when we don't have to. We really don't have to. So in this particular story, I'm gonna go back to the story. In this particular story, he offers her the draw. Now, this is the world champion here, and she doesn't know whether she will win or lose. So there's a risk factor here. If she takes the draw, she can be a co-world champion. And, she gets a title, not the title she wants, but a title. If she does not take it, there's a possibility she could lose and not have the world champion title at all. So she tells him, looks him dead in his eyes and says, no, I'm not taking the draw. We're going to play this out, whether I win or whether I lose. And that level of resolve is something that I really, 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 really value. I really, really value that level of resolve. Yes, there was someone who asked her to drink before the match. I totally agree. That was horrible. As an aside, for those of you listening who are like, what's going on? There was a comment that came up that said that sometimes your friends don't understand the journey. And what you see in this particular series, The Queen's Gambit, is like all these different instances where people will try to take her off her square. But at every point, she had friends that would keep her going and keep her motivated. So she doesn't take the draw. I'm not going to tell you all what happened, whether she wins or loses. You have to watch the series for that. But here's what I want us to take away from it. What I realized is that one of the powerful things that we can do as people is to name the thing that's holding us back. And a lot of times we think that it's something else, like, oh, I'm too busy to do that. Right? I'm too busy to be pitching. I'm too busy to get my business legalized. Or on the speaking side, I'm too busy to go forward and start pitching organizations to speak because, why would I do that? I have all this other stuff going on. When in reality, the name of your procrastination is intimidation. Okay? So if someone could write that in the comments, the name of your procrastination is intimidation. Here's the thing. You got to name it. You have to name it. Okay, you absolutely have to name it. Has anyone been there? Like you procrastinate about something, but in reality, you're intimidated by it. I've been there. I've done that before. And here's what I love about revelation. And when you start to see something for what it really is, particularly when you start to see yourself for who you really are. Okay, here's what I love about this. When you're able to see things for what they really are, you can then overcome them. So you have to make sure that the name of your procrastination is not intimidation. Okay, and what does that look like? Instead of you doing the work, you continue to learn. That's the first thing it looks like. So you're watching everyone else's video. You join all these different training programs, but you never do what the coach tells you to do. You don't move forward. Right? You're just collecting data. You're a data collector. You're collecting all this data. You're reading all these things. You're watching all these people win. And then you make excuses for it. And you say, oh, I don't have time to do that. Or, oh, I'm not available to do that. Or I don't have the ability to do that. No. Let's name it. Let's call a thing, as my good sis Iyanla would say. The name of your procrastination is in fact intimidation. And I think that we sometimes believe that we aren't intimidated by circumstances and things. We're intimidated by people. I heard someone say, oh, I'm not scared of success. Like, why would I be scared of success? Obviously, I'm not scared of success. Here's the thing. It sounds weird to be scared of success. And it seems like that wouldn't be something that you would do. Who's scared of success? What? But it shows up in a very real way. If every single day you are not doing the things that can move your business forward, you are scared of success. But here's how it looks tangibly. You're not pitching because what if they say yes? You don't know what the next step is. You're not pitching because if they say you can move forward and they'll sign your contract, you don't have a contract for them to sign. So you're worried about the fact that you may be embarrassed because once you put this out into the world, you're then accountable for what you've said. So yeah, you're scared of success. You're scared of what happens when someone says yes to what you've requested. And so in turn, you don't make any requests at all. You don't make any requests at all. And so you have to, and what we need to move into as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as world thought leaders, as change agents, is getting very, very specific about our words, even as it relates to our actions. So instead of saying, I'm so guilty of this one. Okay. I'm so guilty of the I'm busy. Okay. I'm so guilty of this. Anyone guilty of the I'm busy? I'm so guilty of the I'm busy. I'm busy. I don't have time to do that. What we need to do is say, you know what? I'm not placing value on that at this time. And if we start to use language in a very specific way, then it becomes easier for us to move to our next level. Does that make sense? And if you all have any questions at any time, just drop them in the comments. If you have a question and you're listening to this on podcast form, send an email to hello@AshleyNicoleKirkwood.com. So we need to start getting real specific in our language, because once you are specific in your language, things change almost instantly, in fact. And the thing is about making sure that you're specific in your language is that it then holds you accountable to what you've said. And my dad is a pastor, so he says this all the time. We are the sum total of what we've said. We are the sum total of what we've said. And for some people, that's dangerous. And for other people, that's good. The thing about intimidation and our future success and all these other things is that this is all stuff you can change. You can change. You're not bound by a particular thought process that you've once held. We could have been someone who had negative thoughts about ourselves for an extended period of time. And guess what? You can change that. That's the good news. We can absolutely change that. Someone said, I started doing this and my mind changed immediately. Absolutely. When you are specific in your language, like I'm too busy for this, and people will ask you, coaches, I ask my clients, why haven't you been pitching? If you've come to one of my events and you're not landing paid speaking engagements, I bet within 5 minutes, I can tell you why. There's an issue with implementation. There's not an issue with the information. I know that because I'm very good at what I do. So, and not only am I good at what I do, the results that my clients have gotten when they implement the things that I teach speak for themselves. So I can typically tell as someone who is a coach and as a consultant, whether or not, whether there's an intimidation issue there. And it shows up in the way that you implement the information that you learn. Learning information feels great. That's the fun part. Learning information feels great. You can learn information all day long. It feels great. You feel fulfilled. You feel like you're getting something out of it. You have a good emotional feeling. But here's what happens. After that emotional feeling wears off, that is where your discipline has to kick in. And a lot of us have not figured out a way to motivate ourselves. So we watch all these videos, we get all this training, we get all this amazing information, but when the emotionalism of the moment wears off, there's no discipline, so there's no action. And that goes back to what you believe. It also goes back to intimidation. A lot of people will not walk up to the person they need to walk up to and ask them the questions they need to ask because they're intimidated. And you want to know why you're intimidated? Because you've already given up your power seat. We talk about power seats a lot, but the only way someone can intimidate me is if I make them bigger than me in my mind, in my thoughts, or in my actions. So if you want to work with someone and you want to pitch someone or you want to negotiate against someone, you cannot make them bigger than you. You just can't, because at that point, you no longer have equal bargaining power. There's a power dynamic there. In the law, if you are an intern and your boss says something to you that's inappropriate, not only are the courts looking at they're not just looking at the language that the boss says, they're also looking at the power dynamic. Now, when you're an entrepreneur, you're a CEO, you are an executive. You sit in an executive seat in your business. If you have a problem going to another CEO solely because the revenue in their business is larger than yours, then that means you're allowing them to be intimidated because you've already set up in your mind that more money means that they are better than you. And as much as we like to think about equality and fairness and all these different things, the way the society is set up now, oftentimes that whole money power dynamic, it's self-imposed. It's self-imposed. We believe people with more money are better, which is why as a speaker, a lot of times it becomes difficult for you to pitch who you need to pitch, get in the rooms you need to get in, because you're thinking, oh, well, they're so big because they work at this really big company. And so I can't go to them and ask them for all this money, because if I do, then what will they think of me? The same thing they think of you now, likely nothing. Here's the thing. And this is what helped me. And we're going to talk about tools now, tools to help you get over intimidation. This is what helped me get over intimidation and allow me to pitch and negotiate with anyone. Y'all want to hear it? Drop yes in the comments if you want to hear it. I'm about to tell y'all. This was such a game changer for me. It was such a game changer. Hey, Audria. It was such a game changer for me because once I had this mindset shift, it changed everything. So drop a yes if you want to hear this mindset shift and this framework that I now employ whenever I need to pitch someone. Okay. So I'm seeing yes in the comments. Yes, please. Yes, please. Okay, look, no one is sitting at home. This is going to sound harsh. No one is sitting at home thinking about how to make your life better. Like right now, the CEO of Pepsi is not sitting at home thinking, how can I make Ashley Kirkwood's life better yet? He's not sitting at home thinking that yet. Eventually he may, right? But right now he's not sitting at home thinking about that yet. Every single opportunity you want for that big person, that big influencer, you're worried about what they're going to think about you when you pitch them. And if you get it wrong and if you look back, they're going to be thinking about you the exact same thing they're thinking about you now, which is absolutely nothing. These people do not care about your well-being. You know who cares about your well-being? You. And guess what? If you get it wrong, now what happens? Well, they at least know your name. They know more about you and you're in a better position to pitch them than you ever were before you did nothing. Let me tell you, you're worried about going to the CEO because you don't want him to think bad about you. Unless it is your boss, that person has no power over you. The beautiful thing about being an entrepreneur, being a CEO, being in a position of power, being in a position of authority in your own business because you've made your own seat is that guess what? If these people say no, they can't fire you anyway. That's why we became business owners. A lot of us think, here's the other mindset shift. I'm going to tell you guys this. For about 7 months after I started my business, I did not pitch a single corporate client. You want to know why? I had residue of that employee mindset and that fear that they put into employees that if you go to the big boss, something bad's going to happen. I was the employee. Let me just tell y'all this, okay? How are we on? We're good on time. I was the employee that would always go to the top. Like, I didn't care who it was. I worked at a company. I was meeting the CEO. They were going to know who I was. When I interviewed, I wanted to interview with the management committee. I was always going to the top. Now, what did that do in corporate? It got me in a lot of trouble because the middle manager was like, well, why are you talking to the senior partner? Why are you going directly to the client? Why are you talking directly? Here's why. Because I've always been the CEO and the executive of my life. I've always been that. I would go into work and I would tell them like, hey, yeah, I want to do a good job here, but I know for a fact that because I have built a solid brand, even if you all fired me today, I could get another job tomorrow. I've always put myself in rooms with the people at the highest level. I was always annoyed by talking to the people who couldn't give me a real answer. And here's the thing. I got in trouble for it so much so that when I started my own company for about 6 or 7 months, I didn't talk to a single C-level executive within a corporation because I was intimidated by their power seat. And that intimidation was bred in corporate. Can I talk to anyone in corporate right now real quick? Because let me tell you the truth about corporate America. It is a system and systems thrive on order. Systems thrive on rank. If you are an entrepreneur operating within a system that thrives on rank in which you have none, you are always going to get in trouble. It is always going to feel uncomfortable. You are always going to feel like you don't belong, and you are always going to feel like you're not challenged. Why? Because you're not in the room with the power players, but you need to be. But what you don't realize is you're not going to get to the C level within that system. Sometimes, right? Depending on where you're at. And sometimes you need to create your own environment so that you can put yourself in the seat that you belong to be in. Because guess what? In corporate, you have to wait on them to realize your genius and your greatness. And some companies are better at it than others. But most are not waking up concerned about you. A lot of people think about when I do trainings on racism and discrimination, and there's always two camps. One camp is like, these people are evil, they're racist, I don't know what's going on, I don't understand why they're doing that. And then there's this other camp that's like, hey, we're good people. We want to work hard. We want to respect people's values. We don't understand why everyone is so mad. You want to know why people are so mad? If you are a minority, you're mad because you wake up thinking about the discrimination that you're going to have to go through. You wake up thinking about the code switching that you're going to have to do. But guess what? People who aren't in those positions, they don't even think about it, which is why there's such a breakdown in communication about the racial injustice in this country. Because on one side, we wake up as Black people thinking, okay, I'm going to go out here. It's an all white neighborhood. Let me make sure that I don't get pulled over by the cops. If I do, let me make sure my seatbelt's on. We're thinking about these things. We wake up thinking about those things. I have a Black husband. I have a Black father. I have a Black brother. And my brother is tall, like over 6 feet, chocolate. You know, he's tall, right? Like he's a big dude, sweet guy, nice guy, smart guy, not intimidating at all. But just by his stature, the world sees him as intimidating. I wake up thinking about that. But guess who doesn't? People who don't have that lived experience don't wake up thinking about that. So they're confused as to why we're intimidated by these systems. hospital systems, police systems, corporate systems. These are systems. And the entire system is discriminatory at times. And so we're intimidated by it. On the other hand, it's hard for us to come to a middle ground on this because most people that I have interacted with, I do not believe that they are waking up thinking, how can I make Black people's lives harder today? But there are decisions that they make within these systems that do it. And that is institutional racism. It's not as overt as people would think, which is why people are so confused. Why are you mad about white privilege? Why are you mad about this? Why are you mad about that? I'm not waking up trying to be racist. No, you're not. But your decisions are made in systems that have the impact of discriminatory conduct. All that to say, what you think about grows. And so when I decided to get over that mindset and stop superimposing my intimidation, my beliefs, my biases, my restrictions, my limitations on the people that I was trying to pitch, everything changed. I started thinking it through. Okay, I go to the CEO of a large pharmaceutical company. I pitch them at a certain rate. They say no. What happens? I pitch someone else. And what do they think of me that I pitch? And what do they now know about me? Well, now they know that I do this work. So they may circle back to me. Now, here's the thing. Confidence comes from doing, and it comes from preparation. So the reason you hire coaches, experts, consultants that know what they're doing and that are visionaries and that are qualified to touch the vision is so that when you do that initial pitch, it's set up in such a way where even if they say no, the pitch is done so well that you can always double back. Now, there is a very real risk of doing this. The risk is if you are just going out pitching all these CEOs, no formula, no process, no type of strategy as it relates to how you're going to get this stuff done, then yeah, you may be ruining your reputation. But I'm gonna be honest with you, and this is an unpopular opinion, even in that, even when you pitch wrong, even when the website looks bad, even when they may feel like, ooh, this isn't exactly the right pitch, you're still getting confidence by pitching. So don't wait on perfect. Somebody drop that in the comments. Do not wait on perfect. And I'm gonna give you guys an example of this. Some of you all may know that recently I was featured on the Amy Porterfield podcast. Great podcast. Amy and her team are amazing. Well-oiled machine over there. Okay. So here's what I'm going to say. The initial pitch that I sent her team was denied. It was like, it wasn't on brand with what she was doing. And it was just denied. It wasn't good. When she emailed back and was like, hey, this doesn't really seem on brand, what I did was I pivoted. I was like, you know what? I sent you the wrong pitch. Here's what I want to teach your audience. I came back with something that was directly relevant to her audience and directly personalized. And that was the pitch that they were like, oh, come on next week. Let's set up a call. Let's do it. It immediately went through because I just pivoted. Sometimes you send the wrong pitch, but you get it out there and you pivot it. And let me tell you something else. And I couldn't figure out how to bring this point home in a way that everyone would get it. So I'm praying that this makes perfect sense to you as I say it. I have a system by which my team pitches me for different opportunities. I have an administrator. Her name's Noni. She's been with me since I started my business. When we first started, Noni was sending out over 300 pitches a week, whether it be podcasts or to clients or to anything else. And in the beginning, because we needed to get work going, we needed to get our name out there, she was sending out pitches. Boom, 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 boom. And I would tell her, pitch me on podcasts, pitch me on this, pitch me on that. When I would look at the people she pitched me to, everyone she pitched me to was heavy hitters, like big people in the industry. So much so that at one point I told her, and this is how reductive, this was the limited mindset that I had. If you've ever dealt with any limiting beliefs, just drop limited in the comments, right? Just drop limited in the comments. We're going to crush those. And we're going to crush them by me telling you how I got over mine and the limiting belief that I had. Because a lot of you know, I teach on confidence. I teach on pitching. I'm a lawyer. I'm negotiating contracts against literal brands that make billions of dollars a year. That's what I do. So hey guys, I want to come in really quickly and tell you all about the Speak Your Way to Cash course. This course is for speakers who are looking to consistently book paid speaking engagements. In short, if you are ready to speak your way to cash, this is the course you need. There are over 17 modules. You heard that right, 17, that cover getting clarity in your speaking career, branding through the press, a 7-figure sales panel, selecting your niche and finding engagements, selling your signature speech and building it out, onboarding and offboarding clients, implementation and taking it to the next level. And then let me tell you about the 10 bonus trainings that encompass the 17 trainings that you're going to get. The bonus trainings cover things like branding as a speaker, the best tools for finding engagements, determining whether a topic is viable, speed speech writing for success, speaking techniques, self-publishing for speakers, sales success, landing association and college clients, navigating the conference market, and so much more. You even get the exact pitch templates that I use to land college clients over and over again, and the press pitch templates that I use. So look, you can get this course by going to ashleynicolekirkwood.com/SYWTC course. ashleynicolekirkwood.com/SYWTC course. Or just enter Ashley Kirkwood Speak Your Way to Cash course in Google and it should come right up. Thanks guys for listening. Let's get back to this interview. Here's the thing. I would go and look at who she pitched, and some of these podcasts were huge, celebrity podcasts, everyone. She was reaching out to everyone. I was like, yo, I had to call her. I was like, no, you got to stop pitching me to these people. These podcasts are too big. Look at the podcasts that are a little bit littler so we can get the wins quick, so we can do this, so we can do that. And she was like, why would I? And she was so confused. She was like, all right, you told me to pitch you to places that would get big recognition. You told me to pitch you to brands that would be big. You said that you've done all this stuff. She was looking at my bio. She was like, you've been in all these outlets. You got all this stuff going on. Of course I'm pitching you to big people. Y'all, I was telling her, don't pitch me to big people because I was intimidated by other people's big platforms. And I thought I was too small to be on their big platforms. And you know what started to happen? She pitches me to these big platforms. She kept doing it. Pitch me to big platforms. Pitch me to big platforms. And guess what? Not only did people let me on their platforms, they became clients. They referred me to other people. My business exploded. And here's what I need you all to see. This is why hiring a team is really, 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 really important. Other people can see more greatness in you oftentimes than you can see in yourself. And it's true for everybody. Although I may have the confidence to do what I do now at the level that I'm playing at now, there's other people that will look at me. I've had people look at me and say, you should be doing XYZ. Why aren't you on CNN? Why aren't you on MSNBC? Why are you only doing local television? You should be on national television. We have to get you on national outlets. Have you talked to CNN? Have you talked to ABC? And I'm like, I haven't talked to them. They're like, why not? And I was like, I'm going to do it. I used to say, because blah, 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 limiting belief, excuse. I cut all that out. Someone said, I found you through Amy. I'm so glad you did that. Boom. Me too. Amy's dope. So look, I was limiting my own success. And this is why it's really important sometimes, guys, for you to have other people to implement the vision that you've set forth. I wrote the pitch copy. I would write all of that. I would approve all of that, but she would send it out. And the benefit of having her send it out is she sees me as I'm her employer. I'm providing for her. She sees all the news outlets we've done. She's seen Forbes. She's seen Entrepreneurs. She's seen Black Enterprise. She's seen Chicago Tribune. She's seen all the number of podcasts we've done, over probably 4 million downloads or more of podcasts we've done just this year. So she sees all that and she's like, oh, no. My boss is bad. You know what I mean? I'm pitching her to everything. And so that is amazing. And it's something that I think that we need to realize is that sometimes now everyone's like, where do I get this team? Okay, I'm going to tell y'all. I'm going to talk to you all about that. Sometimes we're intimidated by things. And so it's important for us to just set the plan, give it to the team, let them run the play. If you have intimidation issues, you have limiting belief issues, let somebody else hit send. So my team, let's see, where did you find your team? That's a great question. Everywhere. So I have found team members a lot of different places. When I first started, I looked in the Virtual Assistant Savvy's Facebook group, posted a post in there and like an application that was just done via a Google form and got some people applying. I hired them as contractors. And now we've transitioned most of our team to becoming full-time. So that's how we started. But the reality is you're going to have to train them. So everyone's like, how do I find a noni? You don't. You have to, what you find is whatever the name of your assistant is, and then you train them on your processes, your procedures, and then they begin to learn you, and then they become exactly what you need them to become for the company. And along the way, the conversation I just had with my team members was, what's your vision for your life? Like, I need to know what's your vision for your life. One of my team members is building a house. I was like, okay, you're building a house. Cool. What does success look like for you? Where do you want to be in 5 years? What do you want to do in 5 years? And so what you have to do is find someone who is willing to do the work within the price that you can afford at the time. And then you grow that person. So you may be looking in Facebook groups. Virtual Assistant Savvies is a group with thousands of assistants. You may use a recruiting service. My second team member came from me using a recruiter, AAE Corporation. I used their recruiting service and they found me an administrator. My third hire, I just hired a full-time attorney. I posted a job on LinkedIn. She was amazing. I saw some of her referrals on LinkedIn. I called a lot of those referrals and then we went from there. And now she's a full-time member of our team as an associate counsel. So I find people in different places, but the reality is you're going to mold your team members into what they need to be for the role. Especially when you are a smaller business. And then you're going to build that loyalty and that commitment with them over time by incentivizing their performance. And what we're doing now as our team is growing and expanding, because we have 3 folks that are full-time. And then we have probably 7 or 8 people that are day-to-day, but they do very specific tasks and they're just contracted to do the tasks. So we don't control when they work and how they work. We give them tasks to do. They do those tasks. We have a video person, a graphics person, someone who just does PowerPoints, someone who their entire role is to ensure that my Facebook group people are getting into the Facebook group. We have someone else, all they do is build landing pages. That's it. That's all they do. I have a copywriter. All they do, he writes copy. That is what he does. Those people are contracted. So your team is going to grow. Okay. Your team is going to grow. And then eventually you'll bring it all in house. And then eventually they may start part-time. They may start on contract and they may grow. In the very beginning, when I didn't have a budget at all, I would look on sites like Fiverr. And now there's levels to Fiverr. They have some folks that are very skilled, some folks that are just getting started. And then Upwork is another great place to find contracted workers. So I would look into some of those things. If you attended my Speak Your Way to Cash live event, you would have gotten an entire training on finding team members and a list of where to look in totality. So if you're interested in that, let me know because that's going to be a great thing to do too. But back to the intimidation. You're going to have to be resolved that it doesn't matter what someone's title is. It doesn't matter what platform they have. You are exactly who you say you are every single time. Someone says, we sure did. Yes, they got that. Exactly. So we have someone on who attended the training and she's like, yes, we did get that. So you want to think through, guys. You want to think through when you're naming what's going on in your life. If you're not where you want to be, if you are not where you want to be, name that thing. That's intimidation. Find out whether or not that is intimidation and then decide to act otherwise. And once you realize if you pitch and it doesn't go through, it doesn't matter. Right? What's going to happen? Nothing. You're not going to be fired. Now, if you're pitching to your boss, as long as it's not out of line or out of order. And even for people who are in corporate, I'll say this, because what I used to do in corporate, which I'm not saying that I was not the ideal model corporate employee. They didn't want, I just did. I decided on day one of my full-time job as an associate at this large firm that I was working at, I decided I was not going to hide any piece of myself and play those games to the fullest degree because I wanted to stay there for the rest of my career. And the only way I could determine whether or not I could stay at a place long term was by showing up fully as myself and seeing how they acted like it. Because me faking for life, that was not about to happen. Good morning. That was not about to happen. So I walked in my fullness to the degree that I could, right? Like in corporate America. So I'm not saying you should do all this. But one of the things that I did do is I always negotiated my salary. Always. We were at 200. We negotiated close to $100,000 raise. With all the bonuses and everything else, it would have been over $300,000 my first year at that new firm. So I would say you have to get to a place where you are just going to determine that you will not be intimidated by anyone else's position, because before you approach them, you're going to put yourself in the power seat. How do you do that? By showing up fully as who you are, by realizing that even if you make a wrong turn, it's not going to be determinative or destructive forever. And I can say that in full authority because I have made a lot of mistakes. I have embarrassed myself publicly. I have done all these things. And guess what? The week after I embarrassed myself publicly, lost a contract with the bank. It's hard to explain how that went, but basically it was an embarrassment, right? I won't even go into details. It was an embarrassment. Lost the contract, did all these things. The next week I was on television. So, it only takes 1 second to change your life. One pitch, one email, 1 second, one connection, one person, one word, one message. You could hear one thing on a podcast, take it and implement it. Everything in your life could change. One scripture in the Bible could change how you view your entire faith. It doesn't take a lot of stuff. But if you aren't out there giving yourself the maximum amount of opportunities to win on a daily, consistent basis because of this intimidation factor or excuses that you're making up, then you will never realize your full potential. But you need to. And why do we need to realize our full potential? We need to realize our full potential because there are other people who are waiting on us to show up in our fullness so that they can walk in their full potential. That is called ripple impact. Ripple impact. A lot of people think, oh, I don't have a big platform. I only have 500 people following me. I only have 300 people following me. Well, guess what? You got 300 people following you. If you were to do a short live video every single day for 30 days and one person were to watch all of those videos or one of those videos and they were to tell one other person about that and then it happened over and over again, that would be called ripple impact. A lot of us discount our impact because we're looking at other people's platforms and we're treating people like platforms instead of treating people like people. The other big mindset shift I had to make was if I was a billionaire already, which, we'll get there, then I wouldn't be offended by someone asking me to be on a podcast. Right? And so put yourself in the power seat that you're giving so much power to. Like, you think the CEO of the company is going to be mad that you asked him about something you can provide to their organization that'll make their organization better? Why would they be? Why would they be? Know your value proposition. Another thing that I like to say is these people are colleagues, not Christ. A lot of us give God-like authority to human-like people. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to give God-like authority to human individuals. Okay? Like, these people are not our God. CEOs of companies, not my God. If I met Oprah tomorrow, she's not my God. I'd love to meet her. I think it'd be amazing. We'd have a dope conversation. I'd ask to interview her, but she's not my God. And therefore, she doesn't have a heaven or a hell to put me in. And the beauty about that is, even if it doesn't go right, when I meet her, even if she blows me off or says no, not saying that would happen, because we're going to claim that, you know, Oprah would be so delighted to be on a podcast or an episode of mine. But even if any of that stuff happened, she's not my God. So it's fine. Your boss, not your God. When I made that shift, I can show up to work. You don't show up to work disrespectful, but you do show up to work without giving away all your authority, without allowing your boss to make you feel every kind of way every single day. Don't give people the power to make you so emotional all the time. Take back that authority. Take back that power. When people will come to my office and say things that were disrespectful and intimidating and all of that, I will put that right back on them. You're going to come to my office and use microaggressions. I would ask them, help me understand why you thought that was appropriate. I really want to know. Genuinely. And that's how I say it. Help me understand why you thought that was appropriate. I really want to know. Genuinely. And then they'd be shocked. And I would say, because it made me feel as though you didn't value me. That's why I'm asking. Could you help me understand that? Boom. Now what is it? It's off me. You're not dropping racist epithets on me. Boom. Back at you. Help me understand why you thought that was appropriate, Bob. You know what I mean? And there's a way to say it that's not confrontational, which is why you follow up with, because it made me feel like you don't value me, but that couldn't have been the case. Help me understand. What are they going to say? Fire you? No. They're going to either help you understand or they're going to feel like crap, have to think about it and rethink the next time they approach you in a disrespectful manner. Because guess what? Your boss, your job may be paying you, but they do not own you. They are purchasing a portion of your time and your expertise, not you. Which means people don't have the right to disrespect you. People don't have the right to disrespect me, which is why you can't be, I have amazing clients. People are like, how do you get amazing clients? How do you work with your dream clients? You refund and disallow anyone who does not fit your client profile. If a client is disrespectful, then boom, you refund them. They're not an energetic match. Boom, you refund them and you move on. And then what are you left with? Dream clients. My clients don't ever disrespect me or a member of my team. Ever. It doesn't happen. And if it happens, it is resolved, right? And so a lot of us just need to use language. A lot of us need to use language that makes sense. We need to write down. And this is what and here's a practical tip. And then I'm going to address this question that we see on Instagram. Here's a practical tip, right? Whenever I have to have a very difficult conversation, one that is going to be intimidating, right? I would write out a script. And I would write out the entire first paragraph of what I was going to say. When I was negotiating that large salary, that big jump, that close to 6-figure salary jump, I wrote out the entire first paragraph of what I was going to say. And when I got on the phone so that I would not allow my limiting beliefs and my intimidation to stop me, I just read it. Hey, every word was written down. It was almost like I had a teleprompter, which is also why I think it makes sense to do your negotiations when you're doing salary negotiations, etc. Do them over the phone, follow up with an email. Do them over the phone, follow up with an email, okay? So that you can read your script. You can read what you have to say. I wrote it out. That way I knew I wouldn't punk out. I'm not calling y'all punks, but every now and then we get a little punkish, you know? If it's a big client, a big deal, you may feel a little intimidated, and that's normal. I'm not saying get rid of that feeling, but don't allow that feeling to prevent you from taking the action step you need to take to reach that ultimate goal that we talked about in the beginning of this. Yeah, people don't have the right to disrespect you. Absolutely not. My job is doing layoffs. They let me go this week, and now they want to hire me back for half the salary. Yes, but I need the benefits. It's easier to find a job when you have one. That's also true. Okay, here's the thing. A lot of people are dealing with this right now with COVID. Maybe your client base went down. Maybe there's other factors that are impeding your confidence. You're going to have to get out of 2020. Okay? Somebody just write in the comments, get out of 2020. I'm about to help y'all out real quick. You're going to have to get out of 2020. Here's on the practical note. You have to do what you have to do to provide for your family. I'm never going to give you the advice that's like, don't take a job because blah, 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 blah. I don't know where your confidence is at, and I don't know where your faith is at. And so a lot of this stuff is based on confidence, faith, and circumstance. You have to pay your bills. You should not be put out. I do not believe in struggle love. I do not believe in struggle bust anything, right? Like, so you have to provide so that you have a roof over your head and food to eat. Most people cannot think themselves out of their current situation when they don't have food to eat and they don't have a house. So you need to do what you need to do. If you got to go work that job for half the salary, but you're motivated and you decide within 30 days I'm getting something else, then that's what you need to do. But first, you need to get out of 2020. Here's what I mean by that. This year has been a year where almost all of us have gone through some level of test and trial. I've talked about having a baby in a pandemic, 6 centimeters dilated, having to get a COVID test, having to not see my family, still not being able to really see my family, only if we're outside, all of these different things with a new baby, she's hitting milestones, family isn't a part of it, etc. I've talked about all that. There's other people that have lost their brick and mortar businesses. Other people have lost their jobs. Other people have lost their employ. Other people have lost big clients. Get out of 2020. Here's what I mean. With all the pressures of 2020 on your mind, thinking clearly is a true exercise of mental strength. Some of you need to get out of 2020. You need to sit in a quiet room with a notebook and write a letter about how amazing 2025 is, how amazing 2022 is, how amazing 2023 is. Write out all of the things that you plan to do as you've overcome this pandemic. Write a letter, literally a letter to yourself write it from the perspective of Ashley 2025 to Ashley 2020. And that letter is going to say, Ashley, I'm so glad that you stuck it out during a pandemic. I'm so glad that when everyone else was doing layoffs or a lot of people were doing layoffs, you made the investment to hire a full-time attorney. Now you have a team of 25 full-time attorneys. They each have a team of 5 that they're growing and developing. You have a full summer associate program where you're hiring law students and law clerks every summer. And you've impacted over 75,000 businesses. You've been able to do it through a variety of different platforms. And it's all because in 2020, you didn't give up. I know it feels hard right now. I know it seems like you can't keep going. I know that all the financial burdens of 2020 seem intimidating to you. But girl, because you kept going, lives changed. Because you kept going, things shifted. Because you kept going, you have more Fortune 100 clients than you even imagined you could handle. You've given opportunities to other employees and consultants. You've gotten contracts so big that you were able to subcontract other actual diverse businesses. You were able to give several Black women opportunities to get their first 6-figure contracts because you signed a multi-7-figure deal with one of the largest companies in the pharmaceutical industry. And so when you start writing your letter from the perspective of 2025 and 2020 starts knocking with all its intimidation, with all its health intimidation, with all its financial intimidation, with all its lack to intimidation, then you start to see, man, there is a future here. I have things to do. I still have lives to change. You got to get out of 2020. Some of y'all just got to leave. You just got to leave. Yes, you have to deal with what's in front of you, but you don't have to deal with it all day, all at the same time. And what a lot of us do is we deal with the problems of this year all day, all at the same time. News is always on. You're scrolling on Facebook. You're always seeing bad news. You're always looking at the numbers. Pritzker does a press conference every single day about the numbers of coronavirus. For the first 30 days, I watched it every day. After that, I got rid of it. In fact, we got rid of cable. We were like, you know what? We don't even need live news all day, every day. We don't need that. Because I don't need to rehearse the problems of the world every single day to know that the world has problems. It ain't no surprise to me. I know exactly where we are. But I also know that because I'm able to get out of 2020 mentally, get into a space of abundance as I'm projecting in my future, I can then look at where I'm at now and still have joy. Because guess what? It's very hard to be confident if you don't have joy, if you don't have peace, if you don't have a perspective of the future that serves you, right? You have to be very, very, very careful about the stories you tell yourself. So yes, sis, you may have to take that job if that's all you have right now and you have to pay your bills. And if that's what you have to do, then you do it. But you don't allow that situation to intimidate you so much that over and over in your mind, you're rehearsing, I can't believe I have to do this. This is so unfair. This is so unfair. You know what excuses do and complaining does? It wastes mental energy. Not only does it waste mental energy, studies show that when you repeat negative things over and over and over and over and over again in your mind, what you think about, you manifest. So not only is everything negative, everything that you're thinking about negative, everything that you feel is negative, but that ends up shifting your worldview to one that is negative. Even if something is an opportunity and it's positive, you can't see it because everything that you see is jaded by the negative worldview that you've rehearsed over and over and over again. People have 70,000 thoughts per day. How many of those thoughts are positive? How many of those thoughts are serving you to move you forward? That's what we need to think about. So look, this message was all about intimidation. Do not allow things to intimidate you. One, here's how you're going to overcome it. You're going to get out of 2020, write a letter from your future self to right now, if that's what you need to do. You are going to be able to clearly see opportunities when you're not intimidated. Because guess what? When you put people on a pedestal and they give you an opportunity, that opportunity may not be the right opportunity for you. However, you accept the opportunity because you put them on a pedestal, so you can't see the opportunity clearly anyways. Big is not always better. It's not always better. So you want to make sure that you are putting people in the position that they actually deserve to be put within, because when you do that, you're able to clearly evaluate opportunities. Yes, absolutely. How amazing is 2021 with the launch of my new book, Soul Affirmations, Growth in My Consulting Biz? Absolutely. Absolutely. Those are the affirmations that we're going to make for 2020. So you all got to write that letter, and look, write it. And if you want, you can post it and tag me in it. I'll read it. I'll give you some encouragement. Let me know. If you want to keep it private to you, I totally understand that. But we're writing these letters. And guess what? When you write it, if you do put it out there, whatever, right? Like, it's up to you whether you want to put it out there or not. Tag me in it. That'd be cool. But if you don't, write it, but read it. Right? And when things get hard, you have to do it. I have literally written myself out of some of the darkest moments in my life because I had to get out of the circumstance that I was in. Because guess what? I can't prosper without peace. You want to know why you can't be creative? Why you can't serve your clients on a high level? Why you can't think strategically, even with all this good coaching and information? It's because you don't have peace. Okay? You can't prosper without peace. You know what I mean? Even if and it's not about the money. Peace has nothing to do with money. It can help. Right? But if you have a ton of money, there's people with a ton of money that still don't have peace. So we're not even talking about, you just got to make all this money. Absolutely. Everybody attached to me is going to make some money, whatever. Money isn't the big deal. Peace is more important. And you can have both. So look, write those letters, guys. Treat people like colleagues, not Christ. Don't give up your power seat. Know your value proposition. Hold firm to it. And if you need somebody else to hit send, then you got to hire somebody to do that. So if this was helpful, drop helpful in the comments. What I'd love to see from you guys is to just drop your biggest takeaway in the comments, like your biggest takeaway, the thing you're going to do as a direct result of this video, because we need to hold each other accountable and get some things done. I go in the comments and I respond, and I chat it up with folks, and I love doing that. So do that for me. If you're listening to this and you're like, oh my gosh, who is this lady? How do I work with her? I want to hire her. I own Mobile General Counsel, which is the law firm for business owners. If you are someone who owns a business, you're building a big brand that's sustainable, then you want to make sure you have a lawyer on your side. Book a legal audit with us. We're doing a holiday special for those legal audits. You can just go to mobilegeneralcounsel.com to book that, or type info in the comments, and I'll make sure that someone follows up with you to send you the link directly. But it is at mobilegeneralcounsel.com. If you're a speaker, a consultant, someone that wants to land corporate contracts, then you need to for sure join the Speak Your Way to Cash Academy, which is launching in January. It's going to be off the chain. So if you need information about that, let me know. I'm also doing a private training for speakers. Now, this is for everyone, no matter who you are, no matter where you're at, no matter what you do, no matter if you own a business or not. My company is hosting a holiday party, and we're giving out resilience awards. We're giving out resilience awards to 5 of our clients who have just crushed it this year, kept going despite all odds. So if you want to be a part of that award ceremony and holiday party, it's 100% complimentary. We're just celebrating good people doing great things. I'll be doing an entrepreneur's address, kind of like State of the Union, but for entrepreneurs. And I'll be starting it off with that. And then you'll hear from some of those clients getting those awards. You absolutely want to be in the building. Just go to ashleynicolekirkwood.com/holiday party, and I will make sure you get that information there. So thank you guys so much. I'm going to come back and read all these comments about your biggest takeaways. And also, if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, feel free to drop us a review. And if you have not already joined the Speak Your Way to Cash Facebook group, then be sure to join that. But I do host 2 podcasts now, the Ashley Nicole Show and Speak Your Way to Cash. So check both of those out, and I will see you guys shortly. All right, wasn't that interview amazing? If you're anything like me, you have pages full of notes. But here's the thing. Before you head out, I want you to go to facebook.com and join the Speak Your Way to Cash Facebook group. That is where I am. That's where a ton of other speakers are, a ton of other people who listen to the show. We all congregate there and chat. And it's 100% free. Now, if you're ready to take your speaking career to the next level, I have 2 ways for you to do that. One, you can go to ashleynicolekirkwood.com/SYWTC live replay and pick up the live replay. That training is 7 modules, chock full of information. It's crazy. Go over there, read all about it.
Or if you want a more personal experience, you already know that you want to be a speaker, you're ready to fully commit, and you want someone to walk you through it and save you tons of time Googling and doing it on your own, then book a VIP day with me. You can go to AshleyNicoleKirkwood.com, scroll down until you see the VIP day section, and get more information on that there. All right. Thank you guys again for watching. Please do not forget to leave us a review. That is how we keep this train rolling and get some of the best speakers in the world to get on this show. So please, please, please leave a review. Shoot me a message on Facebook or Instagram, and Facebook in the Speaker Way to Cash group, Instagram at The Ashley Nicole Show. And I'd be more than happy to chat with you and say hi. All right, y'all have an awesome, awesome day.